Say some things that might be usable for the intro. Let's do that.
Say the podcast name. Say our names. And then share what we think it is.
Welcome to It's Happening for You.
For you.
be
Is
clear,
this
there
even the
were-
song we want to start our podcast with?
This is It's Happening for You, the podcast with Robin Meharry and
Stephanie Lentini.
we love you. Love you. And then the music. The music begins.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I almost feel like this is season 2 because remember season 1 started with "This is the best day of my life," and this is the first day of my first week of my life. And so it's so cool. Now we're in season 2.
I love it. It's so true though. Like honest, and it's so funny what we were saying before because it didn't feel like we were in season 1 still, but we were in like season 1B.
Yes.
And that really does now, like reflecting on it, I'm like, yes, because we're definitely in season 2 now.
Yes.
I just feel like everything has changed. I know that sounds so dramatic, but like I really see everything differently.
Yeah. Likewise. I
Or
actually
more expanded, I guess. I don't think like differently. I think it's just more. It's even more expanded. I don't know.
I was kind of thinking about some of the ways in which, like, let's just say my worldview was just a month ago, but I feel like almost so like not detached, not severed. It seems intense, but like I've forgotten it because there's this new thing that was expanded from that and felt very, 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 very different though and new. And I just sort of like clicked off of that and gave myself like the time to let it sink in or integrate or whatever. And now it's like, oh yeah, I'm there.
But like even now it's like and I'm like you're saying that I'm like but you always were there, you know. It's like
but that's I think that's
like,
the shift is like is being like, oh yeah, I always have been. And I was just like clean. I keep using that analogy of like clean the lenses, like the lenses have been clean. That's it is like now I'm just like more and more and more in each moment, just like, oh my gosh, this is exactly right and it's exactly perfect and it's happening for me. It's so funny that's the name of our podcast.
I know, it's so good.
It's happening for me on my behalf, to my benefit, everything wanted and unwanted contrast.
Yes.
Whenever I go out with my brother and we go hiking, I'm like, Kyle, we're here for the contrast. I'm like, look at the color, like between like the shadow side of that leaf and like the sun side of that leaf. Like that's what we're here for. Delighting in the contrast of like a color or a sound and then a different sound and the cold and the heat. And by the time we were like finishing our last hike, he was like, look at the contrast between those 3 green bushes. He was like, this one is like a dark green. He's like a really nice dark green, but that one's like a lime green. And then I was like, and look at that one. It's like a sage green. And we were just like, oh, like losing our freaking cords over it, you know? Like,
I love that that's the conversation you're having with your brother, especially, you know what I mean? Like
I've been like letting myself talk to, well, if he wasn't like open or receptive at all to it, like I wouldn't, but he pretty early in the summer, he started telling me like his boss introduced him to some ideas and he goes down these YouTube wormholes sometimes about like the nature of the universe and whether or not he really believes this or is applying it into his life, like he listens and he engages like in conversation.
That's so
cool.
cool.
He's both a listener, but he also like he's like, oh, when I was telling him something about Frank on this most recent hike that we did on Friday, And he was like, well, my question is like, if we are creating it all, something or another, he had a question about it. And like, it's cool because, you know, I wouldn't necessarily expect that like he would have that conversation with me, but like, why not?
Why
And
not?
we have been, and it's been
Yeah.
absolutely delightful. And I don't like overdo it either. Like, I'm not trying to like convince him of anything, you know.
Right.
It's just kind of fun to talk about it like you and I do. It's like,
Yes.
so when we're walking, I'm like, I just want to tell you, like, I've been listening to Frank and he's like, that's awesome. He's like, I really like that. I really
Oh,
like
that's
that.
that's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would encourage you to share your experience of
Oh
Friday
yeah.
with everyone. I have already heard it, so it's not going to be like this like shocking information for me to receive right now. However, it is so magnificent and something that I feel like you should really share with everyone because it's like, I mean, it feels like a huge it's going to be a part of our conversation, I think, for a long time to
Well,
come.
and
So
it's also, I feel like the backstory behind why it's season 2.
exactly. Yep.
Because yeah.
Yep.
So that experience was like a very big shift in the day and in the week, and now I'm clearly in season 2. Okay, so on Friday, today's Monday.
Oh my
Crazy.
god. Did you see my eyes?
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea what day
I thought I was gonna say Wednesday or Thursday, and then
I was
I
going to
looked and it
do.
said Mon, and I'm like, no, no, are you serious?
I had the same experience.
Okay.
Like Monday came out of your mouth. I was like,
No,
no.
what are you talking about?
Okay, sorry, go.
Oh, okay. So it's Monday, July 31st today, and my brother and I went on a hike on Friday. Oh my gosh, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Stunning. I saw pictures. Oh, you probably post them too if anybody follows you on
I
social
posted
media. Yeah.
them. Yeah, I actually made a post about it yesterday because I usually do my story, but then it disappears in 24 hours. So
Yeah.
I made a post too. But
Oh, cool.
so we took this hike, had to get like parking reservations because it's a popular area, and we went from Brainerd Lake Reservation area or whatever it's called, recreation area, to Blue Lakes. And there's like a lower Blue Lake and an upper Blue Lake. It was like 7.5 miles round trip, whatever.
Mm.
And all the comments on all trails were like, saw 4 moose today and within the last week. So I was like, Kyle, we're seeing moose today, and we saw 5 moose on our way up. So it's like 3 miles up, right? Or three
So
and a half or
cool.
whatever. We saw a mom and a baby, and then a mom and a baby and a bull moose at another lake, and just so cool. And they were all like comfortable distance away, like not scary. um they
Wow.
say the mom and the baby, like it with a bear, is a little bit
Yeah.
more dangerous because she's protecting her young, sort of thing. But they were like
Mhm.
not bothered by us. I think it's just such a popular area that they were like they're eating leaves, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever they eat,
Yeah.
twigs and leaves. So we just had an incredible hike. We got up to the lower Blue Lake, and like, to paint a picture of it, it's like an alpine lake with like really rocky peaks all around. So there's something about when the rock and the water have an experience together, the contrast of that visual experience, that's just so beautiful. Different than like a lake with like a grassy mountain or something like that. It hits different, and it hits like in a way that I love. So
Yeah.
I'm always sort of looking for these destinations to go where there's really like rocky
Mm.
mountains
Cool.
and lakes within them. And so we get to the lower lake, and we're just like, ah, and eat sandwiches. And then it was only like, I don't know, 10 a.m. by the time we got there. So we decided to go and hike up to the upper lake. I'm telling a lot of details about it, but I'm just loving hiking. But
Yeah.
there was a full day that happened before this other experience that I'm sort of leading up to. So we eat our sandwiches. We take this like really adventurous kind of, there's not really a trail route up to the upper lake. is very steep, kind of loose rock hopping. We had to go over some snow travel, and it was super fun.
Yeah, so
And
cool.
when we get to the top, like there's much less people up there, just us and two other couples, and like 90,000 marmots. That's an
Oh.
exaggeration, but maybe we saw like 15 marmots, which
Wow.
is the most I've seen all
Yeah.
season.
Oh,
And they were all
cool.
just like running around and getting close. They probably get fed often. They were very
Yeah.
curious.
Cute.
Don't feed the animals. They need to learn how to survive on their own. Pack out your toilet paper if you have to pee in the woods. I'm a big proponent of LNT. But I just like it to be like pristine,
Yes.
as pristine as you can expect it to be, right?
Totally.
And we just had such a glorious time, and I was like telling Kyle, "Hey, I'm going to jump into the lake. I'm definitely jumping into one of these lakes. Like I'm not sure which one, but I had already kind of planned in my head that I wanted to jump in the lower lake because at the back side of the lake there were these uh rocky cliffs. It's actually the whole reason I ever learned about the lake is because I had heard that there's deep water soloing there, which means that you can rock climb over the water, and if you fall, you just fall into the water.
That's cool. That's my type of rock climbing.
Right? Right? And
Yeah.
I had heard about this like 2 summers ago from a friend who was like, "Yo, we should go out and do some deep water soloing." It's a boulder kind of thing, not so much. Anyway, the
Yeah, okay,
distinction doesn't
yes.
matter, but it's like more of a boulder sort of thing. And so I had been sort of imagining these rocky cliffs for a couple of years now, and it was part of the reason why I wanted to go out there. But I didn't have any
Mm.
desire to try to climb. I did though envision myself jumping off of them because there was like tiers of different heights that you could jump from. And I don't necessarily love going slow into cold water.
Oh,
It's much
no.
easier to
Yes.
just jump in and then get out really quick.
1,000%. Yes.
So, like, jumping off of, like, a 5 to 10-foot rock is, like, my ideal, you
Okay.
know?
Yep.
If I had, like, my favorite jumping destination into a lake, it's like, I wanna jump off a rock and just, pencil dive, and so anyway, Kyle and I sat at the upper lake and, like, delighted in all of the marmots, and then we decided to go back down. As we're going back down, I was like, okay, like, can we do what I want to do? Because it's definitely going to add some time to the trip. But like, either we just like hop out and we cruise out. Maybe I jump in the water on the way out, or we go like kind of had to go around and get down to the lower part of the cliff side and so on. And he was like, what's the difference? Like, we'll go home at 2 or we'll get home at 3. Like, no big deal. I don't care. And I was like, okay, cool. Sweet. Um, Sweet. Yeah. Okay. So we scramble around. I find the spot, and then I'm like looking at where I'm at. It's basically exactly opposite where we had our lunch, but there's like, it's a lake, so it's a circle, and I didn't have to go across it or anything. I was trying to scope out like my exit point from this jump, and I could do it, but it was kind of like sloping rock, and then in this one section I had to cross over like water that was running over the rock, and there was a lot of
Mm.
frozen water there was ice on it,
Yeah.
and it was like doable again, but like it was enough of an obstacle that I was like, well, maybe I'll just swim across, like not to the picnic site, but like just shoot across the corner and skip the section where we had to walk across the snow, because the snow was kind of sketchy when we walked across it in the morning, but it was like it was a warm day, it's getting slushier, and when snow gets slushier, it gets
Yes.
slipperier. And I was like, I don't want to walk across that snow. It was like 30
Yeah.
feet of like this snow that if you slip, you'd slide into the lake. Basically, you'd go like for like a 50-foot water slide into the lake, which I thought sounded fun too, but I didn't really want to take that approach.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna jump in, Kyle, and just swim over there. And he's like, you think you can do that? And I was like, let me see. Do I think I can do that? Yeah, I think I can do that. I mean, I swam at high elevation, and I'm in fairly good shape right now. I'm not like a marathoner or triathloner, but I'm like, it's not
Yeah.
that far to swim.
Yeah.
But I was like, it could be fucking cold though, and if it's really cold, like I might just need to bail. Okay, so anyway, I'm
Wait,
telling you
can
all the
I?
details.
So
Jump in.
this is what I remember. She sent me a video of her jumping. And so what I remember seeing from it is like, yeah, exactly what you described, a boulder, you standing on top of it, jumping into the water. And then you could see like patches of snow
Yeah.
on the side, like
Yeah.
directly kind of like next to you is snow. And then the place like where you would be swimming towards,
Mm-hmm.
kitty corner to where you were, it was like gravel rock, like
Mm-hmm.
dropping into the water. Is that
Mm-hmm.
like accurate? Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I remember seeing.
So the snow you see on the left, that like kind of snowfield, that's the part where we'd have to walk over.
Yes. And was
And
your
then
brother going to do that to meet you on the other
yeah,
side?
he had to run around. You'll actually hear in the video, he's like, I think I'm actually gonna have a harder time getting over there than you
Yes, I
because
heard
I
him
gotta
say that.
run. And he didn't want me to have to wait for a long time, so he like actually ran. He took all of my stuff and he ran around, and he like
Wow.
ran over the snow and was like, "Whoa, let's go! Oh my god, I don't want to break!" And he had stepped in snow on the way down from the upper lake and broke through it and like kind of like hit his shin on a rock or something. And so I think he had like a little bit of like PTSD from that. He was like, I don't want to break the snow, you know, like
Oh
because
yeah.
it's just snow is so like variable. You especially if
Mhm.
it's like running over water or something, like you
Oh
just
yeah.
and slippery. Yeah, so
Anyways,
that
okay,
as you
yeah.
described it, it was cool because again, I highly recommend anyone go and like watch, like go to my Stephanie Lentini Instagram profile or my Facebook profile and um see the videos I posted about it. But there was like two waterfalls going into the lake, and I jumped right between both of them
Okay.
and then swam to. It wasn't rocky, like kind of like you were imagining it. Um it was like grassy and dirt. Can
Okay.
you hear me
Okay.
still? My ears just
Yeah.
started ringing really loud. Like it was like silence and ears ringing. I'm going back to the lake.
Whoa. That's wild. Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect segue.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is the like this was like the end of chapter 1
Yeah.
before I jumped in the lake.
Yes. Yes.
And then I jumped in the lake
And
and
everything changed.
everything changed. Yeah. Yeah. When I jumped in the lake, it was cold. It was very cold, and I was wearing just a swimsuit. And it was hard to catch my breath, and I could have bailed. You know, I looked at the rock and I was like, "Oh, I can like still bail. Like I could get over that icy section. It wasn't that big of a deal." But I made the choice to not. I was like,
Mm.
"No, I'm swimming. I'm just going to go." And I started a swim like sideways, and then actually I started a swim on my back, and it felt so cold on my head and neck, and I was like, this is sucking the life out of me. This like, you know, if you're in really cold temperature, you put like a scarf around your neck, it just warms you up,
Yep.
you know. And I was like, oh, it's sucking the temperature out of me. So I was like, let me do like this sideways like push. And I'm like a strong swimmer, but I'm not a swimmer. I'm not an Olympic swimmer. It was so hard to move my body too, like my breath, the cold and the exertion was
Mm-hmm.
so hard. I was like, you know, on the verge of hyperventilating, and every moment in that water, I was just like, you need to stay calm. You'll die if you do not stay calm right now. This lake is deep. it was dark. It wasn't like clear like Hawaii. I'm sorry if this is freaking you out.
No, so, I didn't say this to you on the phone, but this is my biggest fear is drowning.
Drowning.
Yes. So like hearing your experience is like very profound for me. No, it's
Okay.
profound. It's amazing. It's perfect, as we say. But go ahead.
Okay.
That's why I'm like having reactions. I'm
Yeah, you're like,
yeah. Oh my God.
Well, I
Okay.
faced your biggest fear that day.
Yes, thank you for doing it for me.
I think my biggest fear is falling off of the side of a cliff in a car, like that I'm not driving. If I'm in the passenger seat, that's
My
like
gosh,
the thing that
that's
freaks me out.
insane. That's never crossed my mind.
It's so funny. Okay.
Okay, continue.
So it wasn't a long swim, but it was a cold swim, and I eventually I couldn't swim with my arms anymore. I was aware of that it was taking too much energy. It was really hard to breathe. So I made the choice to turn on my back again and just kick with my feet. And I'll tell you, I've done 2 lifeguard trainings in my day because I worked at summer camps, like kid summer camps, and they always wanted as many lifeguards as they could. And one of the drills that you have to do to pass the test is to retrieve a brick, like a very heavy brick, like a body, but it's just like a 40-pound brick or something from the deep end, and you have to take it out. You have to kick out to the shallow end with it, so you don't have the use of your hands. You can only use your feet, and you're carrying the weight on your chest, essentially. You like go retrieve it, and then you like turn over and you kick out with the brick on your chest. This is how you do it successfully.
Like you turn on your back and do it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Because
okay.
if the weight is like on your chest and you're trying to like, and it's pulling you down,
Yeah.
right? So you have it on your chest to kind of like not use gravity completely against your body.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I did a bunch of different lifeguard things. So I was like, I'll kick my feet as like much as I can, and I need to get there. There were also moments where I was like, I had already said to Kyle too, if it comes down to it, I'll just float. Like I know how to float. But I was like, I thought about that while I was swimming, and I was like, there's no fucking floating. Like this, no, because I'll freeze to death. Hypothermia. So I turn over and I'm looking at the most beautiful day, Robin. It was not a cloud in the sky. Kyle actually gave me the trail name that day. I don't know if you've ever heard of trail names. Like it's a thing if someone does like the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail that like somebody gives them a trail name along their way. And he had given me the trail name Bluebird because every time we go out hiking, there's not a cloud in the sky. And he's like, you're Bluebird. You're calling in like Bluebird days, you know?
Love that. Okay.
So I'm looking up at the sky and the sun is like directly overhead. And I'm just like, kick my feet, kick my feet, kick my feet. Like just keep kicking your feet. And like also doing sort of like some of the Frank processes of like, if I can imagine myself doing it, like at the fact that I can imagine myself reaching the shore is why I'm able to do that.
Yeah, correct.
Like
yes.
They say something like, you know, the only reason that you can walk across the room is because you imagine yourself doing that first.
Yes.
Essentially. So it's like you imagine and then you intend, imagine, allow. So it's like imagining myself getting to shore and then just allowing like almost myself to be carried there by my little tiny feet. You know, they're not tiny, they're normal size, but like my feet.
Yeah.
And I'm staring up at the sun and I'm like, oh, like blacked out, like no thoughts. There was a moment where I was like, damn it, I really wanted to like enjoy this swim and look around at the waterfalls that I'm swimming past and this like snow patch and enjoy it, but all I can think about is like living right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing to focus on in that moment.
Oh, so it's a funny thing to be talking about this because I'm like, that's not what this podcast is about, but it doesn't really matter. What is this podcast about? It's about you and I talking. So
exactly. exactly.
So more of the story, like I'm talking, right? I'm here right now. So I made it to the shore, but it took a lot of my like focus and attention and deliberate choice, like deliberate choice to not panic, deliberate choice to not sink, deliberate choice to not float. I just kept making the choice for life. Like I was just
Mhm.
like, no, we're getting there. We're living today. Like not now, okay?
Mhm.
And that's been absolutely profound. When I got to the shore, I gotta tell you, I was like, oh my God. And like it was like, zzz, like everything, it was like my ears were ringing and I just like put my hands over my face and I was like, what? I
Oh,
just sat there for a minute, like,
yeah.
I'm here. I'm here. And then everything was so cold. I was like, I went to a rock and like laid my body on it like
Oh,
a lizard, like
yes. Yeah.
try to get like my thighs on the rock and my
Yeah.
core on the rock and just like hug it.
Yeah.
And then I had to crawl up this hillside, which was like kind of tall to like get to the trail where Kyle was going to meet me. And so I gave myself time and I'm glad he wasn't there immediately because I
Yeah.
had time to like get my bearings and warm up a little bit. And then I'm like,
Crawl it
scratching.
up.
And there were so many people, like, I don't know, 10 people watching. For sure, there were two guys who were like watching from the beginning through this entire thing. And there was a
Oh,
part of me
wow.
that felt stupid. And I was like, you're alive. Who fucking
Yeah.
cares? Like, I'm so glad they're not trying to rescue me right now. That was another really
Yes.
big determining factor. Is like, I was like, and if anyone else tries to come in here, they will die. So I'm going to make it to the other side for
Yes.
all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
We're all going to
there was
live today.
we're all living today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I'm like, Kyle's not coming in here. He won't be able to do this. He never had lifeguard training. Those
Yeah.
guys, no.
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No one's got a boat out here.
Yeah. Oh my
We're all
God.
living today.
Yeah.
And so on the hike out, it really did feel like I hadn't just gone on that hike with Kyle. Like it was like a different world completely. And I was just like, Kyle, I almost just died. Like I don't not trying to be dramatic, but like there was a
Legit.
really high possibility of me dying in this lake today. And I didn't. I didn't. And I just kept saying I almost died. I almost died. And eventually I just stopped. I just didn't feel better to keep saying that. So I was like, I'm just going to let it go. Cause Kyle was just like, okay, like, what am I going to do this afternoon? Like he was just,
Yeah. Yeah.
he didn't have that experience. And
Yeah.
so I just kept, it to myself at a certain point. But I reflected on it. Of course, I thought about it the next evening and morning. And by that night, I had like reframed it to like not I almost just died, but like I had the opportunity to die, but I chose to live.
Yeah.
I just chose to live today. And
Yeah.
it just since that acknowledgement, it's been like I'm alive. Like and
Yeah.
I'm like not just I'm alive, but like I'm choosing life.
Yep.
And like kind of a little bit of like fuck it.
Yes. Yes. That's the
Like
best part of this. I love it. Yes.
yeah, like fuck it, I'm choosing life. Like
Yep.
there's nothing to lose. I could just die in a lake. So what
Yep.
does it
Yeah.
matter to like hold back or not say something or not do something or make myself do something I don't want to do or any of that stuff? It's just like lame.
Yeah.
I'm living.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm living on my terms.
It's so good. I was telling Steph, I think was that yesterday that we had this
Yeah.
conversation?
Yes. Yeah,
Time.
yesterday afternoon.
But gosh, that feels like that was much longer ago. That's so crazy.
Wow.
And I was saying that this is like, we talk about like you choose in this moment. You choose, you're
Mhm.
choosing what you want, what whatever you're creating, you're manifesting here in this very moment.
Yes.
And so I was saying, like, the biggest choice that there is in this human experience, in this physical form, is
Mhm.
to live or not live. Like, that is
Yes.
like the ultimate choice, right? And
Mhm.
you came face to face with that. Like, most of us were obviously choosing it. What does Frank say? He calls it like unintentionally, like it's a default. We're
Mhm.
default choosing it because here we are
Mhm.
talking, I'm still here,
Mhm.
but you consciously chose it in
Mhm.
that moment, which
Mhm.
not many of us face that, you
Mhm.
know. So
Well,
it's
and when
quite
they
cool.
say like someone has a near death experience, and a lot of people remember going into the tunnel of light and then choosing to come back,
Yes.
and that is a very profound, significant experience for people. There's like a
Yes.
whole book of people's stories about that. I haven't
Oh,
read
yeah.
it.
Oh, I'm obsessed with near-death experiences. I've
Okay.
I've read many.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So you could
Yeah.
probably recommend a few books.
Oh, absolutely. Wait, can I just recommend, like, one of my favorites right now?
Yeah. What?
Um, oh my gosh, it's a funny name. Billy, okay, you continue
Oh,
because I
Billy
will find.
Fingers. The Billy
Yes.
Fingers. The story of Billy Fingers or whatever.
Yes, but it's not what it's,
Well, okay, while you look it up, also, didn't
so
Anita
good.
Moorjani write a
Yes.
book, Dying to Live, or
Yes, so I've gone
right?
to her, like, workshops, like, I love
Yeah.
her,
Okay,
and
so
it's
this is your
amazing.
topic.
Oh, yeah, this is a thing for me. I'm, like, really fascinated by it. I It's funny that we haven't ever talked about this, but the afterlife of Billy Fingers, that's what it's
Yes,
called.
yes, yes. I haven't read it, but you
Amazing.
recommended it. Actually, I think on a podcast, like at the
I
beginning
think
of
I
this.
did. I think I
You
did.
did.
Highly recommend it, everyone. It's really, really interesting. Anyways, continue.
Well, I think that you were saying something, but um actually one of the things that I think is really fun to point out is that, I've been everyone who's been listening to the recent episodes, like Robin and I just keep talking about like the Frank Butterfield and all of his work. And and he talks about, he's always reminding us like everything you do is voluntary. Some things you don't think you're doing voluntarily, but you're
Yes.
doing everything voluntarily,
Yes.
including waking up each day. And he has this like term or whatever that he calls the bonus period, that like most of
Yes,
the
I wanted you to
people who
say.
are drawn to his work are in a bonus period where they did have maybe they weren't aware of the near death experience, but there was some
Mhm.
event that like they actually could have died and they didn't, and now
Mm.
they're in the bonus period where it's like very actively choosing to live. And I was telling Robin this yesterday that like, you know, um I kind of accept that, like, in general. I'm like, that sounds good, so I'm just gonna roll with it that I'm in my bonus period, like, I like that. Um, I'm done with individuation, and now I'm just here for, like, intentional manifesting of all of the things I desire and having fun with that. Um, but the events that like I sort of kind of thought maybe these were them were so long ago, and there were so many periods of my life since then in my 20s and my 30s that I felt severely depressed and like I wanted to die, that I was like kind of, like I almost feel like I created this new experience for myself to really be like, oh yeah, I am in my bonus period. Because after I chose life in the lake the other day on Friday, now I'm like, every morning when I wake up, even if there are thoughts there that like don't feel good, it's like I can just see them and be like, shoot fly, I'm in my bonus period. Like today is the only day. Now is the only moment. I'm waking up. I'm waking up and I'm going to be a human. I'm going to be physical. And I also want to add that I've been having fucking crazy dreams.
Ooh.
Wild, crazy dreams that really linger with me throughout the day. And I
Ah.
feel like there's just this real
Mhm.
blending between the sleeping waking state. Um, and I'm anticipating that my waking state is going to feel a lot more fluid like my dream states do.
Yep.
Not necessarily that I'm going to feel crazy or like I don't know the difference between when I'm awake or I'm asleep, but that the fluidity and like kind of very quick manifestation of ideas that happens in dreams is becoming ever more my like waking life experience.
Yes. Yes. Well, and like I just know I remember the council saying this, Sarah Landon, the council saying this, I don't know, however long ago, but they were saying, they're like, when people ask, people will ask about a dream, like, I had this dream, what does it
Yeah.
mean? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, was that the dream? Like, or was that your reality? And this is your dream. Like
Yeah.
we're in the dream right now. And they play with that a lot. And I've always enjoyed that kind of like uh perspective, and
Yeah.
now you're bringing it to like another level for me as well with you sharing, because I'm like, yeah, this is it. Yeah, of course it's going to blend because they're all versions of you.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of things I'm doing in my dreams, like I said, that now are really just sort of palpably present with me throughout my day. And I don't mean the physical manifestation of it, but the feeling of it. And
Yes.
that is what precedes anything physical manifesting, is like the feeling of it, the
Yep.
vibration of it first and foremost. And yeah, just really interesting, very cool feelings in my
Yeah.
dreams that I'm just like, oh, like that person or thing is like here with me all day long. And it's almost like, did that happen really? Or and Frank does say, or the communion of light says, like your dreams are more real than your waking life, like much
Yeah.
more real.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Much
Yeah.
more real. So it's like, it's cool,
It
Robin.
is.
Chapter 2, season 2, bonus period. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Choosing to live.
Choosing life, like
Choosing
choosing to
life.
wake up and live and just be unleashed. My favorite word lately is like unhinged, unleashed,
Unhinged. Yeah.
unhinged.
Which I love. I don't know why, but I just love unhinged for you.
I love it for me too.
It's so good.
Absolutely unhinged.
I love it. You know, it reminds me of like talking about the dream and whatnot, was like, I remember when I was in Shasta, during that period of time that was just like, like I
Yes.
was in such a vortex there. But I literally in my dreams, what like there were things that I was processing that like this version here had memories of like of people doing things to me that I was holding on to or whatever, and they were being processed in my dreams and released.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
I had at that time, because I was having them a lot. And it was like I
Mhm.
would wake up and feel like, oh, and now that's done. Like,
Mhm.
whoa, this is crazy. And so I had the opportunity to ask the council about it. And they said, well, it's just because that was your place of least resistance.
Yeah.
Like going to sleep and going, okay, my like self didn't resist any of it. And so then it was able to, do what it wanted to do
Evolve.
to evolve. Exactly. To feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, evolve and for you to expand. Yeah,
Exactly. And
for it to
it
move
was all
along.
while I was sleeping, or
Yeah,
sleeping.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
So very, very, very cool. And delicious indeed.
Yeah. So yummy and delicious indeed. And magical.
Delightful.
And delightful.
So here's what I've been
It's so
sitting
cool.
in.
Okay, yeah, tell me.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know actually what I want to say there. There's like this part of me that's like, I want to give a big conclusion or like wrap it up into like a little gift package.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, there's nothing to say.
I
I'm just feeling very much connected to simplicity and ease
mm-hmm.
lately. It's been sort of the mantra I've been using in addition to others playing around with is like, I'm creating all of this
Mm-hmm.
with my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to observe. There's
Mm-mm.
nothing objectively observable outside of us.
Mm-hmm.
If we think that we're observing something, it's actually just our creation, and the reason it looks a certain way is because we made the rules, we established the rules for it to look like that.
Our
Maybe
opinions on it.
maybe not like we didn't know we did or could, but I know I am doing everything now. It's like
Yep.
there's nothing that I can look outside and be like, oh, that's some objective thing happening outside of me that I'm observing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just creating everything with my thoughts. So I'm like, oh, it's so easy. It's so simple. Like, I've been really, 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 really general with myself, really general with what it is that I'm
Mm-hmm.
creating.
Yep.
Very general. Like, everything's perfect. It's all happening for me on my behalf to my benefit. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely delicious. It's absolutely wonderful. And it's all simple. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So easy and so simple. And what is
Mm-hmm.
it? What am I talking about? I don't know. Everything.
Everything.
Absolutely
Everything.
everything. And the evidence is just pouring in
Mm-hmm. Oh
because
gosh.
thoughts prove
Yes.
themselves.
It's it's wild. Like it's really, really wild. I had like even I mean, I'll share this. I've already shared this with you, but like this just small little example. But it's like this stuff is happening. And then I have kind of a funny example today. But like my mantra is like, yeah, everything is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And a better, like, what could be better? And then I reach up and grab it if there is anything there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then if there isn't, like, I don't go into trying to figure things out.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if
Well, what
something's
a
happened.
relief. We're not the managers.
Exactly. And also letting things be fully there, like not pushing it away,
Mm-hmm.
being like fully present with it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, but also it's just like this whole kind of like just in the flow, man. Like, there was something, oh my gosh, I don't remember what it was, but I literally had this like, I think that was this morning where I like felt like I was, swimming upstream a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah. No, I'm not doing that anymore."
Yeah.
And I let go. Like, I literally pictured myself letting go of a rock I was holding on to as the water's, like, rushing by me, and I'm like
Beautiful.
and I let go, and I felt so I was like, "All it is energy flowing. Let it flow. Don't resist
Yeah.
it." And it felt
No,
so
like
good.
don't resist any thought or any feeling. Like it just wants to evolve and let it
Let it.
acknowledge it, but don't also
Don't go into
like
a story
specific
about it.
or attach to it or identify with it
Yes.
and be like, oh, a lot of times thoughts will come up that feel worse, but I think there's guidance in it.
Mhm.
There's not. It's just
Yeah.
let it go. If it
Well,
feels worse, there's nothing worse. There's nothing there for you. Just
exactly.
let it
It's
pass.
not this thing where you have to go into your past to make a reason of why that's there and what you have to do, what process or what more work you have to do in order to release that. It's like
I know.
mind-boggling to me because, like, man, like, so many people use that term, and I know I think we talked about this on the podcast about, like, oh, gotta do the work,
Mhm,
like, work on myself. Like, I've
mhm,
done the work. So now it's like, no,
mhm,
there's no work. There never was any work to be done. You are perfect,
mhm.
period. And what would you like? It's
And, like,
period.
yeah, I don't think we ended up, like, sharing the last recording after the 8th session I had with them where I was sort
Yeah.
of beating myself up about, I was having thoughts, I was feeling shame and having thoughts that went along with that and giving them merit and thinking it meant there was something I did wrong or something I needed some course correction and the 30 minutes that I spent with the communion of light was pretty uncomfortable because they say it's a hothouse and whatever you bring in here it gets amplified and I brought in shame right off the bat and it was just like I would just felt so ashamed the entire time but they just kept repeating to me well you can keep choosing this but like we wouldn't recommend it we would recommend you just be done with it and just decide for something different and um
Like the caller today, they're like, "You've now chosen it 7 times to stay with
yes.
this."
Yes.
So that
But
is a
when
choice
you're
you're
there,
making.
it really is sort of hard to course
Oh,
correct.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
just like you're
totally.
on it. But afterwards, I was like, oh, I was just having a thought related to a feeling of shame. I was feeling shame. The thoughts went along with it. I was giving stock to that. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this might mean something. I should investigate.
Mhm.
What does it mean for me? And they were like, just no, just say like, fuck that. That feels worse. I'm not doing that anymore. Just say
Mhm.
like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm choosing to feel better. And that has that was like 2 Fridays ago, and so it was like or it was a Monday, but whatever the case is, the event that brought up that question happened on a Friday, and I'm like, "Fridays are significant, even though time doesn't matter." I'm like, "Fridays, there's something with
Yes.
Fridays, you know?"
Yeah, yeah.
And anyway, it was just like a reminder, like, you can just decide for something different, and that also goes into the whole, like, generality. Because I was like, "Well, I don't know what I want." Like, and I thought I
Yes.
needed a very specific, like, to know what I want very specifically, and it was like, "No, just like, I know I wanna feel better. I'm
Yep.
thinking a better thought. I know I don't wanna give, like, mind to this thought. It feels worse, so I'm just gonna feel better and choose a thought that feels better, and I'm not gonna, um, ruminate and swim in anything that feels worse anymore,
Mm-mm.
thinking that there's some sort of reward in that for me. There's none.
Yep.
It produces nothing. It doesn't produce harm either. That's something they said to me is like, don't worry, you're not mismanifesting by doing
Totally.
this, but just know there's nothing there for you. Choose something different.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, like, they say time and time again, but it's really important to, like, remember that you're not doing anything wrong. No matter what you choose or how
Yes.
you approach this or whatever, everything's perfect.
Yes.
So even if you decided to stay in that icky feeling and go through the past, okay.
It's just mud on your windshield, but like outside of the well, even inside the car, outside of the car, whatever.
Yep.
It's absolutely butterflies and roses and
Yes.
like the most delightful experience, period. The
Yes.
contrast, the delight, the body that we have that
With all
we've
the
decided
senses.
to come into that we're manifesting, we're continuing to manifest that give us the ability to touch and to taste and another caller was asking like they brought up this orange thing so
Yes.
much today and they
Yes.
kept saying like you don't have the senses on your tongue to like eat sour oranges like just spit it out and just eat the good tasting oranges and that's all and it's like
Yeah.
so funny
Yes.
you know
Yeah.
it's like
And they were saying, weren't they saying that then the sour oranges can be used for oil? It's not used to like eat. Like there's a purpose. Like it's great. It's not. There's
It's
nothing wrong
yes.
with it.
Yes.
So it's not like you're spitting out because it's something wrong with it.
No,
It
it
just
just
doesn't taste good. So don't eat
yeah.
it. Use it for what is meant to be used for. You know.
Yes. Which is more of what you're wanting. The contrast that the unwanted contrast that's the sour orange that's showing you that you want a sweet orange.
Yes, exactly. That's it. It's ridiculously simple. Or beautifully simple is more so how I feel about that actually.
Yeah.
But okay, I know what I was going to say, for example, which is just a fun thing to like play with, but it's that whole thing with the house sit I was telling you I got.
Yes.
And I was having a moment where I was looking for a place to stay in London for 4 days from a Tuesday to a Friday. And I was thinking, "Oh gosh, I'm going to have to get an Airbnb or something like that." There's not going to be a house sit, which I do trusted house sitters. So it's
Yeah.
this platform if you want to check it out, people. It's amazing. I can give you a referral code. Um,
20% off.
exactly. Let me know. Got you. But anyways, I was like, there's no way that someone's going to be looking for a house sit in less than 2 weeks or whatever it is on these dates. And I was
Right.
talking to my friend Charlie, and she was like, saying like, what about a house sit? I was like, no. I literally said this out loud to her. I was like, there's no way. That's like not possible. Like, are you kidding? And she was like, oh, okay. Like kind of like, whoa, you shut me down, you know? Like she was, and it was funny because she was so open to it as like a possibility that it actually
Right.
then later, like not that much later, maybe 30 minutes later, I'm sitting at my computer and I'm like, wait, of course it's a possibility. Like,
Yep.
who am I to say it's not a possibility? Of course it's a possibility, infinite possibilities, you know? And so in that moment, I get a email from trusted house sitters about like, here's some things that you would, in your search that you would like. And it wasn't even part of that. Somehow I click, 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 and I find a house sit that is from the 15th through the 18th and is with cats because I only like pet sitting cats because they're like low
Easy.
maintenance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have to walk them.
Exactly. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I reach out. They only have one applicant so far at that point. Like it's London, especially like applicants just like flood in like right away because it's so desirable. And so I reach out and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is perfect, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, long story short, I get the house sit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as I'm talking to them, I'm telling them the story of like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even think this was possible. And I told them the whole thing. And they're like,
Yes.
well, we were thinking the same thing. We thought it
Yes.
wasn't possible for us to find someone that would want that. And it was just so perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, the stars totally aligned for us to come together. But also like, it
You
was
aligned the stars.
I aligned the stars. I created this. And it
Yes.
was the moment that I decided to allow, like that
Yeah.
I chose it
Yes.
and was like, this is a possibility.
Yes.
This or anything better, honestly, is what I
That's
was.
the imagining part, like the
Yes.
ability to see it happening, and like
Yes.
imagine it and then allowing it too. Like
Yes.
they go, yeah.
And the important piece of that is that it's not being attached to that being that outcome.
Yeah,
What I
it
wanted
looking that
was
yes.
for a free place to stay for
Yep.
3 or 4 days, right? And it so happened to come in that very specific way, but I was open to
Yes.
infinite possibilities the moment that I decided to be open to it, and then boom, it manifested instantly.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, things are like manifesting instantly for me. Like
Yeah.
before I even know I need them, they're showing up. And like, yes, I'm with people that like know me really well, but I swear like things are, I like this morning I go upstairs and my friend Charlie made me a granola like thing already and it was in the fridge for me. And like, we do that for one another, but it was just
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's exactly why I came upstairs. Thank you. Like, this is perfect. Like
Yes.
instant. But I had like
I'm gonna get Thai food.
Yes.
I'm gonna manifest Thai food today.
You are. You are. We
I
already
can
talked
see it
about this.
happening. I feel like
Yeah.
Thai food's in the default manifesting category for me at this
Mhm,
point.
mhm. Yeah, there's no question you're
There's
giving
no
that.
question.
I love it. I mean, I guess the only question is which tofu dish you're going to be getting.
I know. Yeah. So that's me being like specific but not specific
Yes,
and
exactly.
be allowing me
Yes,
to get
yes.
exactly what I want without being too specific, without
I love it.
thinking I have to know exact details.
Yes. Yes. It's so good. And then I had like a funny situation. I just ran errands, as you know, and I was at at the Whole Foods, and I was like kind of circling around for parking down in the garage, and there was another. I was driving my friend's Tesla, and there was another Tesla that like we both were looking for parking, and she grabbed a spot before I did, and I was like kind of in my head like, bitch, like
Yeah.
damn it,
You
I
got my
really
spot.
I wanted that spot. Well, of course, like I went around her, and then there was a spot right there. So I pulled in. And then I'm in the store and I'm looking. I wanted to get like a couple snacks for the plane. And I'm looking at these like sweet potato chips and they're made with avocado oil. And I'm looking at them. She walks up and grabs a couple bags. And I'm like, hey, have you had these before? And she was like, yes, they're really good. And she's like, recommend
Shut
this one, not
up.
this one. And I was like, thank you so much. I was like, this was perfect timing. Like, I was just wondering if I should get it was just perfect. It's
Oh
just
my
all
God.
so perfect.
That is
Isn't that
amazing.
so funny?
I love that.
I love it too so much. It's
Oh
so
my
fun. It's
gosh.
so fun to live this way. It really truly is.
It's delightful. It's
It is.
just to be in that awareness that like this is all we're creating all of it and not for like any serious reason. It's just for our delight. Like
That's it.
there's not like we came here with like a life purpose. Like I love releasing that.
Yes.
I love evolving away from that thought that like I
Yes.
have some purpose and
No.
I have to be of service. It's like
Nope. Nope.
no
Nope.
matter
Nope.
what
Nope.
I am doing or am, like I'm always unconditional love and evolving expanding unconditional love no matter what I'm doing and like
Yep.
just being more in the allowing and delight of it all just like kind of intensifies that
Yes.
experience, and that's like my purpose for the universe, but it's all of ours.
Yes.
It's not just mine, it's
Yes.
all of ours. And
Exactly.
how fun.
That's it. That's all it is. And like you just said it beautifully. And like the council has always talked about how basically if you want to put words to a purpose, it's you remembering all of who you are
Mm-hmm.
in this physical experience and then having fun and delighting in it.
In the physical
That's
experience.
it. That's the purpose of this is evolving and remembering
Yeah.
all that you are and then expanding. And it's in the expansion, I have goosebumps.
Yes.
It's just in the expansion of the entire universe. That's
Yeah.
what's happening here. We're expanding the entire universe.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's so cool. It's so great. It's such a what a relief, right? Like we can let go of like, oh, I have to go save the planet or help the other people figure this out too. It's like, no,
Yeah, it actually
just
felt
be
really good
you.
like this summer to sort of release that and be like, I don't know if like I'm doing coaching anymore. I don't know what I'm doing and I'm not even going to worry about making money. Like I'm done
Yeah.
trying to worry about like how the money's coming and I'm just
Yes.
saying fuck it
Mhm.
and like just let and dude, Robin, money's just pouring in. And I've been saying that anyway, and so I don't need to pretend like it's surprising to me.
Yeah.
But I've been saying like, there's a million channels of my good, and I've been saying I have $5 million, and then I'm like, well, I have $50 million. I have a ton of money. I don't even know how much money I have. I have so much money, I don't even know how much money I have. And it's just
Love that.
coming in all the time and like more and more and more. And that's exactly what's happening.
Oh yeah. No, it's
I sound a little
so true.
surprised still though. Like, I'm
I
just sort of,
know,
there's
I
still a little
know.
bit of me that's like, is it that easy?
I know. No, I feel the same exact way because I keep having like today or in less than 24 hours, I had 2 instances where money came back to me. So
Oh my
things I've
gosh.
already paid for.
Yes.
Like a credit in something that was like, oh, price change on this. We're sending you a credit of I mean, it's $16, but like, was I expecting that 16? You know what I
No.
mean? Like that came out of nowhere. And then like another thing with like friend, whatever, another credit coming back to me. I'm like,
Yes.
well, that's amazing. Cause I was talking, I don't know if I shared this on the podcast, and it might have been even last episode that we ended up not
We
airing,
didn't
but
share it, yeah. We didn't
we
air it, we didn't
probably
share it.
we didn't air it or share it, but we probably will take clips from that and air them, share them somewhere because it was good. There was parts of it.
Yes. Yeah,
Anyways,
it just feels so upstream to me. I'm like, it's really not gonna be me.
exactly.
You do
No,
it.
no, you're not doing it, and that's why, like, exactly why we didn't do it, because our conversation was so like fragmented that day, and
Yeah,
it would have been so much effort to edit, and like it just that's
yeah,
not the flow.
yeah,
That's not how we flow. But
yeah,
like I might take a clip from it and put it on social media. That feels fun
yeah.
to me too, and I will
I love that.
probably do that. Um anyways, that wasn't the point of what I was
I don't know
saying.
what we were talking about.
No fucking idea. It's gone. This is
Money coming
also what
back to you,
happens.
debits and credits?
Oh, I think I said this on the last podcast about how, or the last episode that wasn't aired or shared, that I had this trip coming up that I was starting to tell that kind of story of like,
Yes.
oh, money going out. Where's the money coming in? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, there's been so many fun things of how things are coming to me. And because I've been like in the knowing.
Yeah.
I have everything I need and want and more right now.
Yeah.
Always, like
Yeah.
forevermore. So it's like I don't have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I get to just go have fun,
Yeah.
knowing that it's all taken care of.
Yep.
And it'll be, and like I'll just continue to follow whatever feels good to do.
Yeah.
That's it.
In the moment of it, of
The
the
moment.
consideration. Yeah.
In the now, like, and that's a whole other thing that's like really, I feel like has evolved a lot since we started like doing this
Yeah.
podcast. Is like I feel like there was a moment in the beginning, and I may or not have said anything, but I felt like there was a moment where I was starting to really understand like coming into the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
really starting to like really
Mm-hmm.
understand that and like embody it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like on
Mm-hmm.
another, that's even expanded so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
literally only the now moment.
Yeah. I
We're
really
manifesting now.
I really like when you're like, well, it feels good when I think about doing something now, but I'm not actually like in the moment where I'm going to do it. So I'll let myself be aware that it feels good to think about doing it right now. But then when I actually am going to go and do the thing, it's
Ask
not like I'm
myself
going to
that. Yeah.
assume that because it felt good when I thought about it, that it's going to feel good when I do it now. Like, and that kind of sounds like a brain mind fuck, or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I just said a lot of the same words, but it makes sense to me that like
Totally makes sense to me.
you you know, I also letting yourself do or say or think, but especially like with the do and the say, like a thing that feels good when you think about doing it right now, and don't think like if it's gonna feel like what's the next step and if that feels good, you know, because there have been a few things that I've said and done recently that felt good in the saying and the doing of it, and it's like I couldn't see beyond the first step, and there's no point to see beyond the first step, because then you just get to that next place, and then you think or do or say the next best feeling thing, you know, and that's it. Like that's
That's
it.
it. Literally, that's it. I think
That's
you
what
and I.
that feels like the definition of unhinged to me.
Yeah. How interesting. Yeah. But it's so funny because it's like so not unhinged. It's so tapped in.
It
You know
is.
what I mean?
It's just following your intuition, but to me, it feels like, oh, I'm unhinged. I'm just doing what feels good to me
Yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah.
saying or the doing or the thinking.
Oh, it's so good.
Absolute, like, just freedom.
About freedom. Absolutely. Well, and this
Yeah.
is like, I think you and I talked briefly about like, I had someone recently, they were talking about like creating a plan or whatnot. And I've
Mhm.
always been a big planner. Love a plan. I've been a project manager. I'm like, let me manage that plan, like I'm all about it. And now that's like gone, and I'm like, even when I hear like a plan or a goal, I'm like, well, yeah, if that feels good right now, but I have no idea. I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel in a minute from now. That the
Yeah.
energy might have been there and then it might go. And I know that, like, and
Yes.
it's so fun, like, the energy is moving really, really fast, I think on a collective level, at least what I feel, so when I have
Mhm.
conversations with people, um, like,
Well, everyone is you.
as everyone is me. Exactly.
Like, the version that you see of them is just an extension of you, so, like, they might be, like, something totally
Mhm.
different to a different person, so this makes sense that you would be seeing that.
Yes, and, like, so I'll ask I'll just use the actual example that I'm thinking of is that my friend Kelsey, she left me a voice note on Monday or something. What day is it?
Yeah, it's Monday.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Monday today. Okay.
Yeah.
No, she left me a voice note like on Wednesday or Thursday last week, right?
Uh-huh.
And she was telling me all this stuff and whatever, things that like options of things that she was choosing and deciding on. And and she was like, I would love your feedback or whatever when you have a chance. And I didn't have a chance to get back to her until Saturday night, but I already knew that everything had shifted. Like I already knew the energy completely shifted from her from that moment that she left that voice note to the moment that I was going to respond. So I was like, sent her a note. I was like, hey, you want to send me a new voice note? Because I know everything has changed. And she was like,
Totally.
thank you for asking because it has. And it was like
Yes.
so amazing. It was so amazing.
I love that. I've had
Yeah.
2 of those, like, maybe today where someone sent me a message asking me to do something for them, and I didn't reply right away. It was like I immediately forgot it. I was just like, "Ah, I'm not doing that." And then, like, they messaged me back minutes or, whatever, sometime later and was like, "Hey, I figured it out." And it just like, "Oh, sick." Love that for both of us
Yeah,
because
for both of us.
yeah. It didn't feel better to, like, get involved with that, and then yeah, sometimes it's just, like, asking, right, that, like, kind of then it's like, "I need help," that sort of, like, "I need help," and then
Mhm.
it allows the help to come in, and it doesn't
Yes.
necessarily have to be from the person that you're asking for the help from,
Yep.
like, that happens a ton.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That reminds me, if you remember this part in my last session with the Communion of Light, where they were saying to me, because because in my process of, going from, being an individual to now being one,
Yes.
that now I've started to say things like, oh, it came in, anything's coming in, like thoughts,
Oh, yeah.
anything, right? Like very like, ma, anything. And they're like, but you're not like, if you just asked
Yes.
clear, like, what is this for? Or, hey, higher self, or hey, whatever resonates with you. Like you were saying before, like, hey, you guys, like, I don't speak French, like, bonjour, I don't
Yes.
speak French, it's like, then you are allowing the
Yeah,
answer
so
to be
yeah,
answered.
let me just provide a little bit of context for because I know what you're talking about, but, like, someone
Yes.
else might be like, "What the fuck are you talking about,
Yeah.
Robin?"
Thank
But,
you. Thank
like
you, Steph.
like, you were in their session and they were like, "Well, let us ask you, what is" it was, like, about crying, right? And it was like, "What is the crying
Mhm.
about?" And you were like, well, I just checked in, I didn't get anything." And they're like, "But
Yes.
you're not looking for just anything. You're very specifically pointed asking about the value or the benefit or what's good about the crying." And
Yep.
so if you were to go back and specifically ask that question instead of being like, "Is there anything there for me?" Because who
Yeah.
are you asking the question to anyways but yourself? So,
Yep.
like, what is this crying for? And then let us know what you received. And then you're like, well, I'm receiving, like, yeah, it's like releasing of some stuff. And you said quite a bit after that. And
Yes.
they were like, how do you feel after saying that? And you're like, I feel better. And they're like, okay, do you want us to, like, give you our opinion? And then they went in with their opinion
Yes.
because of course they have opinions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that I really liked that like the specificity, like not just like, oh, am I receiving something? But it's like in a tarot card reading or like in an intuitive reading, it's like
Yeah.
you need the person to be asking a specific question to receive a specific answer. You're not
Yes.
just looking for just anything. Like,
Yes.
oh yeah, your socks yesterday were blue,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Totally. Totally. Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
specifically asking your question when you're wondering like what is this about, or specifically asking for help, like, hey, I want to feel better right now, and like I'm
Yep.
asking myself, I'm asking, help my helpers or whatever, but like I, you need, yeah, I want to feel better, lend me a hand, whatever
Yep.
that is. That was that example I gave about when I was on that hike and I was like, bonjour, I don't speak French, like
Yes.
I need some help right now. Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And
yeah,
I don't know. It just is very, for me, that was really, really helpful. And,
totally.
and it just felt related to what you were saying previous to all this,
Yes.
of like ask. And then like also if you don't receive an answer, that is also an answer. Like that, then you don't have like, then there
You
is
don't
nothing
need
to
it.
know right now.
Yes, yeah.
You
I
know?
love that. I've heard them say that to a lot of people recently, like, if you don't know, you don't need to know. There's nothing
Yeah,
to know.
that's it. Then like, cause if there was something to know, you would know it.
Yes, exactly.
Which I
You
love
would
that
know.
too. And it's
Yeah.
like, so when I like, for instance, like I still am getting like stomach pain sometimes in the night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what is this for? And I'm
Yeah.
asking really directly and I'm not getting an answer. I'm like, okay, there's
Yeah.
nothing to know right now. But I will
Yeah.
say that last night when I asked that actually, because up to that point I hadn't, up to
Mhm.
that point, did feel like there's just a release happening. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I'm going to just let this happen then.
Yeah.
And it
I
totally
love
felt
that.
different.
I
Yeah.
asked about getting dizzy on one of my first
Mm,
sessions. Like, oh, it's been like 2 years since like when I'm laying down specifically on my left side, if I sit up, like I feel dizzy, and they were like, well, it's not a brain tumor, and it's just like just something, just say like it's going away or whatever. It's like also let yourself have it, and if you feel dizzy, like really egg it on or whatever.
yeah.
And it's been cool because it's not like gone completely, but it's really a lot less, and I'm just like not making a thing of it anymore. And I know it's on it. I know that it's evolving away. I just know that for sure it's evolving away because I'm
Yep.
deciding for that.
Yes.
And if it occurs, I'm not freaked out because I know it's just like it's on its way out.
Yes.
It's happening a ton less because it's on its way out.
Yes.
Because I'm
Yes.
deciding for it and not freaking out about it. And that's it.
I mean that yes. I mean all of that. It just is like it just makes so much sense to me, you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
just is so good. It's just like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And it brings even more meaning to what I've always resonated with, like the council saying what you focus on and the meaning you're giving it is creating
Yes.
your reality.
Yes.
So if you're focusing on the dizziness and you're giving it a certain meaning, like, oh, I have a tumor, then
Yeah.
that you're creating that reality for yourself. But
Well,
if
it's
you,
funny because
you know,
when it first started, I was like in the height of like Gina's programs and really diving into like Abraham, and so I would YouTube search like Abraham Hicks dizziness, and one of the things that they would say, there are only like 2 videos about like people asking about this in the hot seat, but in one of them they said dizziness is um it's like a side effect of your vibration raising really quickly, and you can feel that. And I told that to the communion of light, and they're like, well, we're really not fans of correspondence lists.
yeah,
We don't like, we don't like associating like this thing with like this reason. It's just
yeah,
a thing that's happening and it's on its way out. And they're like, you can keep doing that if you want. And that was the first time I ever heard him sort of say, like, stop using your body as like a bellwether sort of thing, And that's been a little bit of a practice, because really, like, with with like diving into Abraham stuff and just all sorts of the things that were in the like satellite around that, I used my body a ton as my guiding light. And if something didn't feel good, I thought it was guidance that it meant not to do something.
Mm.
And so is constantly like checking, like, if I think about this, does it feel good or bad? And it was very confusing to me, I have to say, because I was like, is this guidance that I shouldn't do something, or is it just guidance that the thought I'm thinking is shit? You know, or like I was
Oh,
just very
totally.
confused about
Yeah.
it. And now I'm like, it's so much more simple than that. And I'm not looking to my body to give me the evidence of what feels better. Like
Mm.
now my body, I'm leaving my body out of it, and my body
Mhm.
gets to just do what like I've manifested it for, which is to provide the sensing systems, the neurotransmitters to taste and touch and feel and hear and smell, and leave it out of this guidance determining system. And instead, because
Mhm.
the feeling of what feels better is so incredibly palpable, and it doesn't have to be contained within my body.
Mm. Hmm.
The thought that feels better and the thought that feels worse, if I'm considering one or two, is something that I can just feel without involving my body
Yes.
as an indicator.
Yes. Totally. Sorry, I'm really processing
I
everything
know,
you're
because I can
saying.
see that this is sort of like almost hitting new or
Yeah.
different for you.
Well, and I'm also like rehearing things I've either read or heard recently through this lens now that now makes sense. You know what I mean? Like made
Yeah.
sense before, but now I mean, as always, it's just expanding, it's evolving. It's like it's amazing. But that's what's happening right now. Cause like, and I don't know, I was trying to remember where I heard it. It doesn't matter. It's just what it's right here. I know it. So it's like, but it's the fact of I mean, it's back to the whole concept. Like we're not our body.
Yeah.
We're everything. We're, you
We
know,
have a body, we're
yes,
manifesting a body,
yes,
we're we're manifesting reality sort of with and through our
yes,
body. But they talk about our body like it's a pet, like it's a glove. It's a glove that we've put on. It's
yes.
not even like the whole suit. It's
No.
just the glove that we put on, and it's here for
And
our
we're not
delight.
even right here. Like in this, like you were just
No,
saying,
no.
you know what I mean? Like, and so
Yeah,
it's like, of course,
leave
then
your
it's
body out of it.
love that. Love that.
I love it too. I don't
Yeah.
I just love
I
that.
think, but I do think it, at least for my journey of evolving, it was helpful to like use the
For sure.
body. Yeah. For that step to understand, to get to this point.
Yeah, well,
But
like
not
the
necessary. Not like that's how you have to do it. I'm just,
no.
of course,
But it
reflecting.
did seem intertwined that like getting in tune and in touch with my intuition, it felt like that lived in my body for quite some
Yes.
time.
Your
And now
gut,
I'm like, oh, it's
right?
not. It's not
Yeah.
actually something that exists within my body.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe the Communion of Light said something about this recently, but it's like when you, like, it's just like, I mean, when like, you just know, it's not like,
Yeah.
yeah, then you feel it in your like fingertips. It's
Right.
like so much more, it's bigger than that. It's like, I don't know how to
That's sort of
describe
like
it.
what I mean by like you can feel what feels better or feels worse, and it really is a palpable feeling experience that doesn't relate to my body at all. It's
No.
like if I say like, this thing fucking sucked today, like I can feel like, oh, that feels worse, but it's not like,
Yep.
and my body does respond a little
Yeah.
bit, but I think it's part of that is like just practice of it
Yeah.
and momentum of the habit. It's like
Yeah.
habit, right? That's just
Yes.
sort of like just sort of kind of petering out of always checking into my gut and my solar plexus to give me data.
Yep. And then like it's just as simple then if that's what you believe and what you know to be true, then you're creating that.
Yeah.
Then your
And
body will, like your
yeah.
gut will respond. Your,
Right.
you know, like it's all
I've just been presented with this new information and it feels better and more expansive, so I'm going with that. So it's
Yes.
sort of like the dizziness thing. It's like that's just
Yes.
it's just sort of petering out, and like sure it might like still come up occasionally, whatever. It's no big deal. It's just petering out. It's not necessary. This is feels more expansive for me. It feels better, so that's where I'm choosing to go. And just because old thoughts occur doesn't mean that they have to be given
Yes.
right our attention.
Well, and what we were talking about yesterday, like back to the like that, you know, the body holds
keeps the score.
Keeps the score. I keep like not knowing the name of the book because I don't believe it. So it's like we also we've learned that like this is
there's
how
stored stuff
yes.
in there and it needs to be
needs
released and there's healing and it gets caught and it like
takes time to release it.
Yeah, you have
it.
something in your hip because of some trauma with your mother.
Yes.
And if it's in your right hip, it has to do with your creativity being stifled. And if it's in your left hip, it has to do with your intelligence being assaulted as a 7-year-old. Like, like those sorts of things, you know? And it's like, bullshit. That's stupid. That's dumb stuff.
Yes. Yes. It's silly.
It's just not necessary.
It's not necessary. Like you can do
now I feel
that.
like I'm being mean. So I'm not being mean and I'm not talking shit about anyone who does resonate with that, whatever, because it's whatever feels expansive and better to you right now. So
there's no right or wrong way of going about this, like at all. And then we're not telling you to do this or that. It because we don't know, right? Yeah. We don't know what's best for every individual person and how they're only myself. And that's what we're here. This is what we're doing on this podcast. Is just showing up and sharing our story. Did Ty come?
Okay, we're back. We did it with a brief intermission.
Yes.
Where we spoke the whole time to each other. Yeah.
And you don't get to hear.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot today.
A lot. Yes.
A lot. And it's been so fun. And I'm really excited to share this with everyone. So
Me too.
I don't think there's any editing at all that we need to do. And it's going to hopefully be out soon. So
yeah. Great. And then I travel on Wednesday. So the next recording.
Robin's going back to Europa.
Yeah. Europa. London. Here I come.
London town. And you're going to Tuscany. Yeah. So England.
So I think the next
Italy.
recording will be from England. I don't think I'll record from Tuscany, but England.
Cool.
Probably. So that'll be fun.
Awesome. Bring your microphone.
It's ready to go. Got my travel mic ready to go. And then I'm excited because like between now and then I would have had my Tuscany like segment of my trip. So it'll be fun to like share that experience.
Yes. And I'll probably be in Wyoming the next time we record. So
cool. So fun.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'll be in the van.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Fun. I'll be in some random house sit.
With cats.
With cats, exactly.
Love that for you. Okay, well, love you and love everyone out there who's listening. We love you all so much.
Yes,
and we always love hearing your comments. Seriously, like if you send Robin or myself a comment or whatever, like, love it. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah, it makes our day, makes our life. Not dramatic at all.
After all, we are still doing it for ourselves, but we just love that you are enjoying it with us as much as we are because this is delicious.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay,
bye.
And bye.
Thanks for listening. You can visit us at www.itshappeningforyou.com for more information about upcoming episodes and previous episodes and just learn more about us. Here we go.
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and a Welcome to, right?
It's
But
happening.
let's start from the beginning.
It's Happening For You podcast with Robin Meharry.
And Stephanie Lentini, the podcast about mastering the creation process and living a life of extraordinary possibilities.
Join us as we just talk every week and chat and share.
Have way too much fun. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you for being here with us.
And the beat drops.
And the beat drops.